Welcome back, everyone, to the Oracle section of today's episode of 1320 Time Stream, covering the White Galactic Dog. So we're just going to quickly go through all of the daily energies, which mostly are galactic, and we will have one rhythmic. And so this is going to be our left and right shoulders. 4 left shoulder energies, 1 right shoulder energies. So let's get directly into it. We have the galactic moon, and interestingly enough, we were just talking about the relationship kind of between the moon and the wizard, and we'll get more into that in a second, but we'll start more where that moon energy is. In relation to the dog, the way I'm seeing the galactic moon is the energy of like the kind of moodiness. There may be a moody, almost emo nature to the family aspect when representing the family, the tribe, the fellowship, that the moon can represent the inability to receive things. And the dog itself could be a bit of a slobbery creature to the moon. All the moon wants to do is go and be delicate and go be by itself and go, be in its pale light and, do things that are very all about it kind of thing. But the dog holds a little bit of a different energy, so it may be really easy to do that. It may be easy to see those energies come about for us. And so this also brings up the next thing, which is about flow. What are the different kinds of flow? And it's not in the challenging power, it's in the helping power. So it's like, maybe what is easiest for us is to be able to flow into an aspect of it that we can accept before, totally taking space or totally disappearing and just, going into our own nature or our own flow. The helping power energy of the moon today is it may be that one zone flow is easier to do than to get into a dog process or to really, naturally dynamize with that energy. Another aspect may be that, it's easy to really just get lost in the flow of connecting in that family. And none of these are good or bad things. They're just different ways to see the energies. And I'm not bringing nature around you should or shouldn't do something. Definitely not. What I am bringing, however, is just that these archetypes show up in so many different ways that I create different ideas, little complex situations, so as to see how their energies may very well show up. Another one is like, maybe you're with your cosmic tribe, maybe you dance together, or maybe you share, I don't know, video game space together, or maybe you share some kind of club together or whatever, right? And so it's easy to really get lost in that flow today with them, right? To really go in deep. And the other aspect of it too, outside of flow, is it's like integrating purification. And so, on that earlier kind of dynamic, if there's a process with the family or tribe energy, today is a day to get a bit of that cleaning energy done, to get a more integrated version of cleaning done. And as the water sound flows, that's so fun. So that feels pretty good there. The Galactic Wizard, really, really galactic there. If you really think of it, the wizard is already very kind of cosmic-y, mystical, and the galactic is very, galactic. But in this respect, it's like integrating through that timelessness. Is that being with that, because this is the galactic family, in many ways we could represent it as like, the harmony and the integrity, like we were saying, there are natural patterns of the existentiality that show up. And it also has its roots in simply just galactic behavior, like what it is like to be in a more galactic frame of mind, in a galactic kind of essence, where we participate in slightly more cutting edge sharings, like the meditations, like the different languages, like practices like this. The people watching this video, for you to connect with them would be awesome, because they would be your galactic family. They would be other people that are kind of, traveling this, cosmic light ship to our own kind of self-discovery and to our own biospheric regeneration. and things like that. And so, I find the wizard kind of in some way represents the higher or more interdimensionally associated, the more wizardly aspect of the dog, where the dog in this respect, because it's galactic, is representing the harmony in the model. It's still very earth-based. And that wizard holds space between the sun and the moon, it's saying, I am like you, I am flow, I am timeless. You can get lost in me. And like the sun, it's saying, I am highly intelligent, I am a wizard. I have a special repertoire of skills. So the wizard really bridges the sun and the moon energies very, very naturally by being that being that kind of exists between the sun and the moon, between the two polarities, like the sorcerer or sorceress. And in this nature, the galactic form of that. And so over here we have the sun, which coming from, that more sorcery energy of the wizard. Another way to look at the wizard too, in the respect of like this being kind of like a sundial for the day, is it's like, just coming out of the moon time of the day, that the wizard has more of that moon timeless quality, and coming more towards the sun time of the day, it has more of that like enlightened material sorcery type of quality. And so it all really depends on how we see and work with the energies in our life. Like if we're really wanting into, time tracking cycles, and we can see the four energies of the day as the four quadrants, then we can start seeing how the energies move in and out of each other and are simultaneously present, throughout the day. And this in itself is a science. I feel this is good to talk about during that sun section. This is like galactic enlightenment, which is that idea. And that enlightenment kind of just meaning like a spiritual practice or a different way of illuminating or a different knowledge. I try to avoid saying higher knowledge, but in some way, well, this knowledge represents less density. In some aspects, it seems more complex, but it's actually highly simple because it's just training ourselves to recognize the natural cycles. And so this is the challenge of the dog. And so in many aspects, the dog can be challenged by this heightened consciousness. The dog can have a more because in the four minds you have serpent, dog, eagle, and sun, and so the sun is like the highest, in some way, most advanced type of intelligence. It's non-incorporated, it's non-bodily, and so the dog is very electromagnetic, emotional mammal. And so the aspects of the sun can sometimes challenge it, anger it, bother it, make it feel unsafe, unheard, diminished, or unseen or unsafe because it is glowing so brightly. And in some ways, it's like an anti-humanistic force. It's so galactic and so seemingly out there to the dog consciousness that it can feel very like repulsive or almost invasive to the dog consciousness, even though it is the ally of the dog, and for all intents and purposes, the dog is actually utilizing the sun to guide its way. But because of the dog's own self-imposed limitations, the true nature of the sun being represented by this glyph in this time of the day during this energy may not be able to fully be seen. We're also in the night wave spell, so we're dealing with the shadows, and so that may be the one thing that the dog sees still is the darkness and not the light. It may still be going into those separations. It may still be going into those personal spaces and kind of indulging in those fears or indulging in those mental complexities. And it simply just needs to do that, and that's part of that, emotional or moony aspect of the moon. Is that kind of relationship is like it would be very easy for the dog to turn away from the sun and go into the moon, and in that case it wouldn't really evolve much. As far as the system is concerned, it speaks very highly around being able to confront those challenges, because that is where the healing is, that is where the learning is, that is where the wisdom is in this particular system, is when we embrace and recognize the challenge. The helping power is there kind of as a buffer, but the helping power won't allow us to evolve. It simply won't. It's kind of like a friend that's rooting for you in your corner even though you're wrong. And it's like they're just there to make you feel not as much, they're there to support you kind of thing. But eventually you have to face your challenges, and that support structure is simply that, a support structure. It can't help you become the trueness of yourself. So tag into it when you need a breath, but keep moving towards that challenging power, that sun energy. And no, you don't have to do that every day. You know, you don't always have to feel, oh, every day there's going to be this daunting challenge to overcome. No, let there be ease. And also let that challenging power transform into ease as you become aware of how it can become that for you. So from that space, let's go down to the rhythmic monkey. Organizing and equalizing, getting all those things done, putting everything in their place in order to play. And so this I find is reminding us, we have that cosmic kind of language, knowledge, wisdom represented by the wizard, and then the moon and the sun kind of like polarizing between the flow state and the mooniness, and the like, oh, okay, I just need to do this thing, or I'm just emotional, and the sun, which is that very like more intense, more defined, more in your face energy, which can be a little more angular in its casting of existence. The monkey reminds us, don't forget to play. And it's also one above, like or one after, like dog and then monkey. We have moon, dog, monkey in those permutations. And so it's your next mammalian consciousness. And so while it is also a family-based algorithm, there's a playfulness. There's also an intelligence. The monkey is not unlike the wizard. The wizard is a highly refined version of the monkey. Of course, the human is actually after the monkey. And then the Skywalker is the journey between the human and the wizard. And so you can see the aspects of the wizard starting to show up in the monkey. And the monkey is the becoming of that. But it's learning through playing. It's learning through goofing around. It's learning through hanging on trees. It's learning through playing some games. It's learning through all the fun, whether it's goofery or it's more serious fun or whatever's fun, right? That's what the monkey really brings. And so the wizard has its roots in playfulness, and the family, tribe, whatever that is, that group also has its roots and develops itself in play as well, in communion, which we could say. And so that feels like a good transmission here for the oracle. And stay tuned for our breath meditation.